Ohioans put presidential candidates to the test at the biggest DNC debate ever. One big strike is finally over, but another one is underway. And in sports, Ohio soccer plays two must-win games this weekend. Newswatch starts right now. I'm Ben Schwartz. Thanks for joining us. I'm joined right now by Newswatch reporter Taylor Moore. Taylor and I were at last night's Democratic presidential debate in Westerville and got to talk with some attendees before the debate.
That's right, Ben. Last night, crowds were lined up down the road at Otterbein University to get into the sixth Democratic debate of this election season. The attendees we spoke with seemed excited to see a debate in their home state of Ohio.
So in Ohio, we don't have the primary until March. So, while right now I really like Bernie Sanders, for me electability is number one. So I'm just going to see how the candidates are doing when it comes time to vote in March, and I'm just going to sort of vote based on that. Absolutely, I am super excited to be here. I've never attended a presidential debate. Obviously, in my home state of Ohio, that's a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing all the candidates and really just hopefully digging into the issues.
Yeah, I think this is really exciting that they are here tonight. These candidates are here and they are listening to Ohioans. They're being here in Ohio, seeing what we're all about, and then hopefully spending a lot of time here with us.
And that time here in Ohio was spent talking about many things, including impeachment, gun violence, and health care, to name a few. Ben, we got a chance to speak with a few of the candidates after the debate as well.
Yes, Senator Kamala Harris from California shared her views on women's reproductive rights. Her comments come as states such as Ohio are working to restrict abortions, including the heartbeat bill signed by Governor DeWine earlier this year.
Women are over half the population of the United States, and these various states that are putting in place laws that will prevent women from having access to reproductive health care will result in women dying. Women of color, poor women. So my intention is that when elected, I will require that the United States Department of Justice review any law passed by any state that interferes with a woman's access to reproductive health care. And if that law is not constitutional, it will not be able to go into effect. It will be banned.
Another issue discussed last night that could potentially affect many Ohioans was the idea of a federal gun buyback. Candidates Beto O'Rourke and Pete Buttigieg got into a heated argument last night over gun buyback programs. Buttigieg told O'Rourke he needs to further develop his plan before debating the idea.
Look, Congressman, you just made it clear that you don't know how this is actually going to take weapons off the streets. If you can develop the plan further, I think we can have a debate about it, but we can't wait. People are dying in the streets right now. We can't wait for universal background checks that we finally have a shot to actually get through. We can't wait to ban the sale of new weapons and high-capacity magazines so we don't wind up with millions more of these things on the street. We can't wait for red flag laws that are going to disarm domestic abusers and prevent suicides, which are not being talked about nearly enough as a huge part of the gun violence epidemic in this country. We cannot wait for purity tests. We have to just get something done.
Plenty of other issues were discussed on the stage last night in Westerville as well. Steve Nanas has some more with highlights.
12 Democratic candidates sharing one stage on Tuesday night with one goal in mind: to make a lasting impression with millions of voters watching at home.
This president, and I agree with Bernie, Senator Sanders, is the most corrupt president in modern history, and I think all of our history.
Also front and center, Senator Elizabeth Warren, whose surge in the polls has put her under the intense spotlight typically reserved for frontrunners.
And I don't understand why you believe the only way to deliver affordable coverage to everybody is to obliterate private plans.
Senator Warren, I've been talking to Americans around the country about automation, and they're smart. She has yet to describe her tax plan.
Healthcare once again a major topic, with candidates sparring over a Medicare for All plan backed by the more progressive candidates or a more moderate approach.
Medicare for All is the gold standard. It is the way we get healthcare coverage for every single American.
The issue is whether the Democratic Party has the guts to stand up to the healthcare industry.
The The focus also on Syria, as candidates took aim at President Trump's decision to pull U.S. forces, allowing Turkey and Russia to move in.
Our president blew it, and now he's too proud to say it. And what do we do now?
And with time running out until the first votes are cast in February, some candidates came out swinging.
When I think about where we are right now in 2020, I do believe justice is on the ballot.
Tearing each other down because we have a different plan, to me, is unacceptable.
We have an erratic, crazy president who knows not a damn thing about foreign policy.
I'm Steve Nannis reporting.
A small earthquake was felt in several cities around northeast Ohio last night. There were no injuries or damage reported. Tuesday morning's 2.6 magnitude quake struck after 1 a.m. in Madison, east of Cleveland. The quake was much lighter than the 4.2 magnitude event that hit Cleveland in June, shaking up residents. The Department of Natural Resources reports at least 200 earthquakes in Ohio since 1776.
Hi everybody, well, it is much cooler today than it was yesterday. It's still cool out there right now. 49 in Athens, humidity is at 68%. As we saw rain showers earlier on in the day, they're moving out right now. Pressure's at 29.81 inches and rising as the low pressure is moving out of the area, and winds are out of the west-southwest at 10 miles an hour. Across the area, temperatures are generally in the upper 40s and lower 50s. 50 in Chillicothe, 52 in Columbus, 49 in Newark, 48 in New Lexington, 48 here in Athens is the cool spot. Pretty much cloudy skies all around as you're going throughout the area. But the highlights for the next couple of days, we're going to remain cool at least for the next 24 hours, but a weekend warm-up is in store. And coming up next week, Ben, it looks like we're going to have a very roller coaster week, up and down. It appears, so make sure you're ready for some above average temperatures and some below average temperatures for next week.
Yeah, roller coaster week, but at least the weekend is kind of at the height of that roller coaster. Thank you, Nick. Small businesses in West Virginia could be getting some money to repair damages from rain and flooding earlier this year. The U.S. Small Business Administration is offering economic injury disaster loans to 3 counties. The loans are available to small businesses, agricultural cooperatives, nonprofits, and aquacultural businesses in Brooke, Hancock, and Ohio County. The program is available from January 1st through August 20th to businesses suffering financial losses from rain and flooding. And also in West Virginia, a university is saying goodbye to one of its fraternities. The National Sigma Phi Epsilon Fraternity's Board of Directors unanimously voted to revoke West Virginia University's chapter after an investigation. The board cited violations of alcohol risk and management policies. Sig Ep CEO Brian Warren says current members seem more interested in being a drinking club. On Twitter, the chapter responded, saying it's saddened by the decision and holds the community and its members to high standards. Starting tomorrow, if you're under 21, you won't be able to buy tobacco products in Ohio. The new law raises the minimum age from 18 to 21. Ohio is just one of 18 states that has raised the minimum age for purchasing cigarettes, cigars, e-cigs, and other products. Violations could lead to penalties for both the buyer and seller. Governor Mike DeWine says supporters say the law is meant to help prevent children from becoming smokers. National stats show Ohio as one of the highest rates of adult smokers. The Ohio Supreme Court is defending a police officer who stopped a car based on its color, not matching vehicle registration records. The court upheld its constitutionality and ruled 6-1 that the officer had reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. This type of inconsistency often means the vehicle was stolen. The 2016 traffic stop involved a black SUV with a license plate registered to a white SUV. The driver was later arrested for not having a valid driver's license and having a warrant out for his arrest. Court records don't say whether the SUV was stolen. General Motors employees could be going back to work after a 5-week strike. And Vice President Mike Pence is taking a trip to Turkey with hopes of negotiating peace. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Think Wednesday on PBS. For stories from the world around us. Stories of hidden cameras.
We're likely to see some really exciting behavior.
Crumbling infrastructure.
We have had over 24 bridges fail.
And urban dwellers.
Life in the big city is complicated.
For stories that get you closer to life. Think Wednesday, starting at 8/7 Central. Think PBS.
Are you nervous?
你紧张吗? A
A little bit? Oh, okay. Why?
Things run a little differently in this Queen's courtroom.
No one in here wants to see you in jail.
Meet a team of rebel heroines working to change the way prostitution cases are prosecuted.
She was in crisis and he just like swooped in.
We are going to grant an early sealing. Yay!
Blowing up on POV.
What's up, everybody? I am Joseph Hennessy, the host of Gridiron Glory. And wow, this season is flying by. It is week 8 of football already, so tune in on Friday at 11:30 p.m. and on Saturday at 11:30 a.m. for the repeats of our show. This week, we're going to be talking more about our Player of the Year and Coach of the Year candidates throughout our entire coverage. Connor Wright leads the way, Keegan Wilburn, just to name a couple. So stick around to see who else is in the list. Remember, there is nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Are your ducks in a row? Almost half of Americans do not have a proper estate plan. Estate plans are more than matters of money and inheritance. They can guide your future health decisions and provide special instructions for loved ones in your care. Put your mind at ease by getting your ducks in a row today.
It took 5 weeks, but General Motors has finally reached a deal to end a strike by 50,000 of its workers. The tentative agreement was announced by negotiators Wednesday afternoon. In September, employees walked off the job, protesting their pay, benefits, and the treatment of temporary workers. The strike cost GM about $1.5 billion in profit. The United Auto Workers Union says it's worked to get fair contracts for workers, but there's no word on when employees will return to work. The deal still needs approval by both union leadership as well as GM leaders before it can take effect. And in other strike news, teachers in the third largest school district in the country are going on strike. Chicago public schools are canceling all classes and activities tomorrow ahead of the strike. A last-minute agreement has averted a strike of Chicago's park workers. An employees union says it has approved a deal reached with the Chicago Park District Tuesday night. That was the last day to hammer out an agreement ahead of a strike that would have likely gotten underway on Thursday. The strike would be a first for the workers who keep more than 600 parks in Chicago running. Chicago's public teachers were set to join park employees in their strike. Classes have already been canceled for Thursday, even though a teachers union is still negotiating with the city. Sources familiar with a federal investigation of Rudy Giuliani's business dealings in Ukraine says it involves possible financial entanglements and counterintelligence concerns. That counterintelligence portion indicates the FBI probe into President Trump's personal attorney is deeper than previously thought. It involves investigating whether a foreign influence was trying to take advantage of his business ties in Ukraine to gain access to the White House. A New York attorney says investigators questioned him about Giuliani's ties to 2 associates indicted last week, on campaign finance-related charges. That indictment centers on ties between those associates and other foreigners, including a Russian national. It does not name Giuliani. Vice President Mike Pence and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo are heading to Turkey in hopes of negotiating a ceasefire. Tensions in the region escalated last week after Turkey invaded northern Syria. Those attacks came just days after President Trump announced that all U.S. troops would leave Syria. The decision sparked backlash from both Democrats and Republicans, who said the move leaves U.S. allied Kurdish troops in grave danger. It also opens the door for a resurgence by ISIS fighters who were being guarded by Kurds in northern Syria. Critics say Trump's decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria gave Turkey a green light to invade. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says he considers the Kurds a terrorist organization. Erdogan says he's not worried about Trump's threat of U.S. sanctions, and he won't heed U.S. demands for a ceasefire. The U.S. House of Representatives have officially laid out their opposition to the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Syria. House members overwhelmingly approved a resolution opposing the Trump administration's move today. The measure drew support from both Democrats and Republicans. Both parties have criticized President Trump's decision to pull troops from northeastern Syria, which clears a path for Turkey to attack Kurdish forces there. The Kurds are allies of the U.S. and have helped in the fight against ISIS. If you're planning on flying anytime soon, you might want to bring some extra hand sanitizer with you. That story's still ahead.
And weather-wise, we saw cool weather today, but that's all about to change for the weekend with a warm-up on its way. I'll talk all about that coming up in my full forecast, but first a look at stocks of local interest.
Prison is here to punish us. It's not about rehabilitating. It just isn't.
This is a full-time, total commitment. When that door closes, you're at Bar College.
It's hard, it's difficult, but it's rewarding.
I gotta prove that I'm worthy of this.
They're trying to pay back to society.
It changes your whole outlook.
I realized I learned something. That is where transformation happens. That is what stops people from coming back to prison.
College Behind Bars, Monday, November 25th at 9/8 Central, only on PBS.
As our cities expand, their wilderness is getting smaller. But for the animals who were here long before our city streets, these strong survivors of an ever-changing world have learned to do whatever it takes, not only to survive, but to thrive in this new urban jungle we all call home, the wild metropolis.
The Amazon. Humans have never set eyes on parts of this jungle until now. A team of naturalists and filmmakers are going to wire this wilderness, top to bottom. Remotely operated cameras will record everything 24/7. It's a wildlife filmmaking first. That is remarkable.
Genoa, Italy, without warning. A deadly bridge collapse. Who's to blame? And are we at risk?
We have had over 24 bridges fail in the United States since 2000.
Inside the global race to save our bridges.
We have a significant challenge.
Why bridges collapse on Nova.
Welcome back. Well, as I said earlier, it was very chilly today, and it's all due to a very potent upper-level trough. You can actually see it here in the the water vapor satellite picture right now. This kind of dip right here, that's that upper-level trough, and here it is again on the jet stream. And this jet streak right here drove a surface low that brought a cold front through, and that's why we're seeing cold weather as well as this large upper-level trough. Pretty much dominating the eastern seaboard, and here it is at the surface. There's that surface low right there. It's occluding right now. It's allowing another surface low to form just off the coast of New York and New Jersey, and it's just going to continue to be cool across the eastern seaboard. 24-hour temperature change from yesterday. We are at 76 today. We're only at 49, so it's pretty chilly out there. It's almost a 30-degree temperature drop in the last 24 hours, and again, it's due to this large upper-level trough that's dominating the eastern seaboard, and it's going to stay chilly throughout the night. 41 degrees will be the low, mostly cloudy, clearing after midnight. Winds will be out of the west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Across the area, temperatures will generally be in the lower and middle 40s, 42 in Columbus, 43 in Chillicothe, 44 in Jackson, 44 in Ironton as well, 43 in Jackson, 44 in Ripley, 41 here in Athens, all under mainly cloudy skies. We'll be clearing from the west, so the further west and the further north you are, the more clear your skies will be tonight. That low pressure will move off the coast, and it's going to allow a very strong high pressure to move in over the next couple of days, and it's actually going to be a pretty pleasant day tomorrow. 54 will be the high, partly cloudy. It will be cool and breezy. Winds will be out of the west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour, so be wary of the wind tomorrow. Maybe bring a jacket if you're going out and about, as it will be a little bit chilly tomorrow as well, but partly cloudy throughout the day. 54 in Columbus, 54 in Chillicothe, 54 in Jackson, 56 is the warm spot down in Ironton. Again, partly cloudy skies across the area. There's that high pressure. It's going to continue to dominate over the next couple of days, but we're going to be up and down temperature-wise over the next week. A strong upper ridging pattern will move in for the weekend before another strong troughing pattern moves through for the middle part of next week. And there's that ridge right here, and there's that trough right there. So we're going to be pretty much up and down over the next 7 days, as you can see by the 7-day temperature averages. We're 13 degrees below average on Thursday, but warming you all the way up to 8 degrees above average for Monday. Here's the 10-day air masses. Again, cooler air right now, warmer air for the weekend, cooler air again for the middle part of next week. And we're watching the middle part of the following week after that. We could see very, very cold temperatures. Both of our long-range models are agreeing on that. Extended forecast, 59 on Friday, 69 on Saturday, 72 on Sunday. Rain chances come in for Monday and Tuesday. Ben?
Thank you, Nicholas. Airplanes can be a breeding ground for bacteria. Here are some tips to stay healthy when you fly. Reed Binion has the details in today's Health Minute.
An airline cabin can double as a flying petri dish when not maintained properly. The enclosed space, recirculated air, and large numbers of people make planes prime breeding grounds for bacteria. The tray table, the place where passengers rest their food, was by far the most contaminated surface tested. It was followed by the overhead air vent, the lavatory flush button, and the seatbelt buckle. So what can travelers do to help fend off illness above cruising altitude? Carry antibacterial wipes and hand sanitizer. Wipe down tray tables, seatbelt buckles, armrests, and seatback pockets when you sit down. Hydrate. Because the air in the plane's cabin is recirculated, it contains less humidity than most people are used to. Choose a window seat. People who sit by the window have the smallest risk of infection because they have the least contact with other passengers. For today's Health Minute, I'm Reed Binion.
Hi, I'm Nick Veland. It's a wild weekend in Athens for Bobcat sports. Learn more about that and how the Bobcats defense looked to battle the Golden Flashes on Saturday, up next on Newswatch. What's up, everybody? I am Joseph Hennessy, the host of Gridiron Glory. And wow, this season is flying by. It is week 8 of football already, so tune in on Friday at 11:30 p.m. and on Saturday at 11:30 a.m. for the repeats of our show. This week, we're going to be talking more about our Player of the Year and Coach of the Year candidates throughout our entire coverage. Connor Wright leads the way, Keegan Wilburn, just to name a couple. So stick around to see who else is in the list. Remember, there is nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Are you nervous?
你紧张吗?
A little bit? Oh, okay. Why?
Things run a little differently in this Queen's courtroom.
No one in here wants to see you in jail.
Meet a team of rebel heroines working to change the way prostitution cases are prosecuted.
She was in crisis and he just swooped in.
We are going to grant an early sealing. Yay!
Blowing up on POV.
The battle over Baby M, the landmark case that still shapes surrogacy today.
What comes next after one gets married? Kids.
Could a solution for global warming be found in a terrifying Cold War concept? Plus, humorous Andy Borowitz.
Pollution isn't bad. It's merely a sign that American industry is firing on all cylinders.
Retro Report on PBS. Think Wednesday on PBS. For stories from the world around us. Stories of hidden cameras.
We're likely to see some really exciting behavior.
Crumbling infrastructure.
We have had over 24 bridges fail.
And urban dwellers.
Life in the big city is complicated.
For stories that get you closer to life. Think Wednesday, starting at 8/7 Central. Think PBS.
Welcome back. I'm Nick Veland. The Bobcats look to get a victory in the win column this Saturday after a devastating loss to Northern Illinois last week. The Ohio defense continues to struggle as they gave up 341 passing yards and 169 rushing yards during the game, allowing the Huskies quarterback Ross Bowers to find Cole Tucker and Mitch Brinkman and giving them each over 100 yards of receiving. Then, as the game is tied, Northern Illinois is able to drive down the field. to set up a game-winning field goal, putting the Huskies over the Bobcats 39-36. And here is what Coach Solich has to say about the Bobcats defending Kent State on Saturday.
You know, they're not going down one lane here. They're a multiple approach to offensive football in terms of throwing, running. They know in order to win consistently, you know, you need to be able to do a little of both, and certainly need to have a strong running game if you can. And so they understand that, and that's what they feed off of.
The Ohio soccer team has 2 must-win games over the weekend. Last Sunday, the Bobcats fell to Buffalo 2-0 and are on a bit of a cold streak. It doesn't get easier for them on Friday as they will face off against the third-place team in the MAC, Central Michigan, and they're heading into Athens coming off a 3-0 win against Toledo. The Bobcats' rest is limited as they're right back at it on Sunday as they go head-to-head against Eastern Michigan. Both teams have 2 wins in the MAC conference, so expect this one to go down to the wire. Bobcats will take the field for the last time in the regular season at home on Sunday, and it's hard to believe that the season is already coming to an end. And here's Olivia.
Huge for us this weekend. We have to come out with 6 points. Plain and simple. It goes by so quick. Like August, at one point, like seems like forever ago, but at the same time, it seems like yesterday. We were just in here for preseason. Hopefully, it's not the last few games that you cover, and we keep going in the tournament. But yeah, it goes quick, so you've got to make the most of the time you have.
The Ohio volleyball team is back in action in the Convo this weekend after 2 weeks being on the road. The Bobcats won 2 big MAC conference games this past weekend over Akron. After losing the first set, the Bobcats won 3 straight to pull off the victory. Then Buffalo took Ohio to 5 sets before the Bobcats found a way to come out on top. On Friday, Ball State travels to Athens. Both teams have the same record in conference play at 4-2. Then Saturday, the Bobcats face Toledo in the Convo, as that has been a special place for the Bobcats, only losing 1 game there all season. Delius Boyer discusses the feeling of being back at home and how important this weekend is.
It's very important for us, like in the MAC, so we have some place to start, so what we can get better at as a team. So I think that gives us a good idea of what should we work on next to be even better. Get really fired up when we're at home. So yeah, it should be a good start for us.
So Nick, it looks like a very busy weekend for the Bobcats.
Oh yeah, if you're in town this weekend, there's a game for you.
Thank you very much. Now let's head back over to Nicholas Snyder for a final look at the weather.
Thanks, Ben. 54 tomorrow, partly cloudy, cool and breezy. Winds will be out of the west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. A bit breezy tomorrow, so make sure you have a jacket, as it will be a bit chilly as well. Temperatures across the area will generally be in the lower and middle 50s under mainly partly cloudy skies, and across the next 7 days, 59 on Friday, warming you up for the weekend, 69 and 72 on Saturday and Sunday. Rain chances come in for Monday and Tuesday with highs in the 70s. Ben?
Thank you, Nicholas. The world's first selfie taken by a plant has hit the internet. That's right, a maidenhair fern named Pete at the London Zoo not only takes his own selfies, he powers the camera. It's part of research into microbial fuel cells. According to the zoo, plants naturally deposit biomatter as they grow. It then feeds bacteria into the soil and creates energy that can be harnessed by fuel cells. That's the power Pete is using to blow up the internet with pictures of his leafy self. Zoo officials say Pete is producing more power than they thought, enough to take a new selfie every 20 seconds. It's so frequent that active fern often catches zoo workers accidentally photobombing his photosynthesized photographs. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Ben Schwartz. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Thank you.